Show. Wednesday show. Wednesday show. It's a Wednesday. It's a Wednesday. It's a Wednesday show. I'm looking through the stuff as I started. Look what I found this Wednesday show. Look, it's a Disney Quest indoor interactive theme park ticket. What year is this from? January 11th, 2007. So this would have been right when I ran my full marathon, my first full marathon. Right? Was that 2007? Yeah, 2007. That's crazy. Hello, everybody. I don't know if anyone's out there. I was moving stuff around, and all of a sudden I came across this box from things, including things like Leap Year 2008. And it's the great big book of everything with everything to find. And so then I just started looking through. Like, we get my home state there, Wisconsin, Clarabelle Cow. This is clearly from up north. They also have these Pirates of the Caribbean things. These ones. So this came out when I was on my college program. These were the lanyard pins. And you could only find it on lanyards. And I went like searching high and low for them. So I made sure I got the whole set, but it took me forever to find the whole set. What else do we have in here? Oh, the red car. Someone told me, I don't even know if it's true or not, that this red car was the most expensive pin at the time on my college program. So I hunted it down. It's like, I'm going to get rich. I'll be able to retire off the red thing. How's everyone doing? Like show and tell. I literally just found that stuff right before the show started, literally seconds before. I was like, oh, wait a minute. I've got this box right here behind my chair. I never go back there. Hopefully is it not working for anyone? Should we reboot it? I'm not sure if it's working. Let me know in the comments. Is it working for anyone? Because right now usually we have people talking by now. Now it's just 3 minutes of nothing. There we go. We got a hello. Yes. I was very worried that nothing was working at all here. There we go. Okay, people are coming on. Hello. I was thinking that maybe we had issues tonight. So, welcome to the Wednesday show, episode 717. We're going to continue doing what we've done the last few weeks. We're going to let you guys decide exactly the topic that you guys want to do, because I've been having a great time with it, mainly due to the fact that I like the challenge. I like the idea of having no time to prepare and just kind of going off with what you guys want to have it. So you guys want to talk about. So we were just all late. Yes. And it's still only showing like 3 people. Usually at this point we have at least 10, but that's okay. So maybe people are just busy tonight. But yeah, so tonight we're going to be going through, I'll give you 3 options in just a few minutes here. So make sure you can talk in the comments so you guys can throw your votes out there on what you want to have the topic be, and then we're going to go through and put the vote out after we do our intro. Hey, howdy, hey, welcome to the practice round. You should do, well, you know what? We'll throw that as one of the options today. Well, I had 2 options. We'll throw that as the 3rd option. Okay, so let's get this party started. We're going to start the 717th episode of the Wednesday show in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 717th episode of the Wednesday show. Today is May 17th, 2023. I'm your host, as always, Brent Dodge. Hello. Today we're going to be going through and talking about something with Disney. You guys are going to be voting for it in just a few minutes here. But of course, before we get to that, let's talk about our news for the week. First off, our first bit of news for our Saturday in the park. If you didn't already know, every single Saturday on my YouTube channel, we do a live broadcast from someplace found throughout the Walt Disney World Resort. We usually do it at 1 o'clock Eastern time. This week, however, we will be going a little bit earlier, mainly due to the fact that I will be going out to Tampa on Saturday to go to the baseball game. That was a really good hit. So the game's at 4 o'clock, so I'll be doing the broadcast probably around noon is my guess, but I could be wrong. I have no idea. I'm going with two friends, and I have not even talked to them about our plans whatsoever. But if you guys want to join us for that, make sure you check it out a little bit earlier. Also, thank you everyone out there who's been joining us every single day for our daily YouTube videos. If you don't already know, every single day we are releasing a brand new Disney video over on my YouTube channel. And in addition to that, we are also releasing brand new YouTube shorts every single day too. Let's check out our subscriber count right now. As always, if you increase our subscriber count as we go through here, we will continue to go into extra innings. Baseball. We'll be going into extra innings as we go through here. That is if the app will load. Right now, the app is not loading. Oh. Okay, right now we are starting off at 2,821 subscribers. So if we continue going up higher and higher as the night goes on, we will go into longer and longer episodes here tonight as well. And of course, as always, tonight's episode is sponsored by... Oh, where'd it go? It's all about the mouse travel jazz hands. Make sure you stop by. It's all about the mousetravel.com for all of your Disney travel needs. All of their services are absolutely positively 100% free. So make sure you book with them for your next Disney vacation. Oh, wait. So if you guys have not joined us for the last few weeks, we've been going to you guys to choose the topic that you want to have it so we discuss as the night goes on. So we're going to give you three options. One of them is going to be from the Frank fam here. They said you should do a show and tell episode sometime with all your Disney memorabilia. What we can do is, since we don't really have too much time to prep, we will do a show and tell episode of what is around me, and there's stuff everywhere around me. Like literally, it's outside of what you guys can see. There's a lot of stuff as well. So we can do that as one of our episodes, or as an episode. Or we can do an Ask the Expert, or because it is episode 717, we can do an episode based around Disneyland, which opened up on July 17th. So 7/17, July 17th. So you guys have about, let's do 1 minute to throw your votes out into the comments below. And for the Disneyland one, we'll go into deeper about what specifically you want to talk about for the Disneyland episode, if that's the one that you guys choose to do. So our three options are show and tell episode, Ask the Expert, or a Disneyland episode. Throw your votes into the comments below, starting right now. We got one vote for show and tell. Show and tell episode. So far, we got one vote, and you guys have about 30 seconds left to throw your votes in. So, again, the three options are show and tell, Disneyland, or Ask the Expert. Throw your votes out there right now. Oh, we got one for show and tell, two for show and tell, three for show and tell, but I like Disneyland too. 4 for show and tell. We got a vote for Disneyland. We'll throw that as a second one. We got a 3 for Disneyland. We'll give you guys about another 15 seconds to throw your votes in. Otherwise, it'll come down to just a random between Disneyland. Or you know what we could even do is we could do half an hour of Disneyland, half an hour of show and tell. We can do 2 segments tonight. I vote for 2 segments. Who else votes for 2 segments? If you vote for 2 segments, throw an I in the chat room. Like not like a human eye, just like an AYE-I. I. Or throw it. Can you throw emoji eyes in there? Go 2 segments. Let's do 2 segments tonight. So let's do our first 20 minutes. We'll do a show and tell, and then we'll go for the rest of it with Disneyland. So what kind of things do you guys want to see? All right, because we have there's a lot of stuff around me, and there's a lot of stuff around. There's a whole lot of stuff. When my friend Eric, who's in the chat room, Eric, wave, hello. When Eric came to my place, he stayed at my place for a few days before we did the cruise one time, and he also stayed another time for a few days because he missed Disney. So we just went to Disney for a few days together. And when he came here, the first time he walked into this condo and he looked around, he said, "Is this what the place always looks like?" And I'm not going to show you what it looks like because people would be like horrified of what it looks like. But we got a lot of stuff that are around. So obviously, at the start of the entire episode, we started off with this box of pins. Is what I was looking at when people first came in. This is a collection of different pins that I had collected during my college program. One of the things that you could do is so cast members could get these lanyards, these special lanyards. So I got a Mickey one. I also got a Peter Pan one. The Peter Pan one actually is hanging in my bedroom with my actual like company ID. And I also got Pinocchio. I got the three of them because I love them all so much. Mickey, Pinocchio, and Peter Pan are three of my favorite characters, along with Scrooge McDuck. But in addition to that, we've got some really cool things. I've always been a big fan of Peter Pan. It's always been my favorite Disney movie. So we got some Peter Pan ones there. If you followed me for a while, then you know that like my friend Frank has been going. Him and I do all these crazy challenges. We do all the races together and stuff. This was the weekend that I actually met Frank. He convinced me to buy this pin. I don't know why. Hey, Brent. Question: Is the witch outside the cottage of Main? The mine train, the first animatronic that is outside? No, it's not. There's been a few other ones. So we'll do questions too, I guess, while we're doing this. So actually, before that, we've had Mr. Potato Head is outside over at Toy Story Mania in Disneyland. We've also had there's animatronics at Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. Of some of the characters that are kind of going through. Isotrope, the one dude that's out there as well. So they've had a few throughout the years. We've also got characters like when the parks first reopened in 2020, and it was July 5th, 2020. One of my friends was a cast member who she's sadly has moved away since then, but she went through and she got a preview of Magic Kingdom, the very first possible day you could go. And that was right after they announced that Splash Mountain would be closed. And so me and her went over there and we got everything in the store. We literally purchased everything that was Splash Mountain themed. And luckily we did, because after that day, they never sold again. So we got things like Brer Fox, and then I got Brer Bear and Brer Rabbit are over on that side of the room as well. And then in addition to that, I've got tons of different little things. What's the certificate that is framed? This certificate right here. So this is actually a newspaper article about me. I showed this actually 2 weeks ago when we did the Herbie stuff. But this is a news article that was done about me. Delafield man hopes Disney dreams come true. So this was a local newspaper from up in Wisconsin that did an article about me when I moved down here. And it's got from screen to themed out here. So this was, what day was it? June 22nd, 2010. So almost 13 years ago. And it's all about me and living out my dream. So it came out just a few months after I moved down here and pursued my dreams of living out the good life down here. In addition to that, what else do we have around here that's gonna be kind of fun to see? This is a fun one right here. So this is an autograph / drawing by an actual animator, Pixar animator. So Jeff Pigeon. So he came into my work in 2019, 2020, 2019, I want to say. No, it was 2020. It was definitely 2020. And so he came, this was just before the lockdown, like maybe like a week or two before the lockdown. He came through and I was talking to him. I had no idea that he was a who he was. I just sat there and I talked to him for a few minutes. And then he went up to the register and he was talking to one of the cashiers at my job. And they got to talking about his job, and they found out that he was the voice of the little green aliens, or the little green men from the Toy Story films. And so she was like, "Oh, she's like, you have to talk to this. You have to talk to my supervisor over here." And so they called me up, and it's the same guy I was just talking to for a few minutes. And so I sat there and I talked to him, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, can I shake your hand? It's such a privilege." And so, so we went there, and then I walked away, and they asked, or I guess he asked them if I was a big fan, and they're like, "Oh, he's like the biggest Disney fan you'll ever be in your life." And because of that, he went out of his way and he asked them for any piece of paper that they might have and give me the autograph. So really, really cool one there. Let's do a few more before we go to our Disneyland segment. We've got things like, obviously, popcorn bucket. You know what we should talk about? Because some people probably do not know what this is. Okay, so if you guys have ever joined us for the show, when the first thing that you do when you walk in is gas, it's terrifying but great at the same time because all the stuff you gas then faint, and it's probably true. Do I have any name tags from the Catherine Day? I do, but they're not within reach. They're put away in a different room. Where's the painted gear? They're on the other side of the condo here, so unfortunately I can't get them. We're gonna just keep on focusing around stuff that is within reach. But let's do this one because I think this is such a cool one that most people don't really realize unless you've been following since 2010. So if you've ever joined us for the Wednesday show, and at the start and end, we always talk about our sponsor, which is It's All About the Mouse Travel. And I always do It's All About the Mouse Travel with the ball. So what some people might not realize is what the ball is. So the ball is a piece of Disney history, like legit a piece of Disney history. So if you remember back in like the mid to late 2000s over in California Adventure, Disneyland California Adventure had a parade, a block party thing called the Block Party Bash, which was, featured different Pixar characters, and they would go through and they would do a few different stops, and they'd have a block party, and then the floats would go back, and they would keep on going down the street, and they would do another one, and then eventually made its way over to Disney's Hollywood Studios. And this was right around the time that I was writing my first book, From Screen to Theme. And while I was going down, I made a joke one time about how it would be really cool to have it so I could go through and create a ball pit out of Block Party Bash balls. And I said I could go over there every single day and go to Hollywood Studios because I knew where all the stops were. I knew because at the end of everything, they would go, Block Party, yeah, ba-dow. And then all of a sudden these balls would shoot out. And there was 4 different colored balls. You would have yellow, blue, red, and green. And so they would shoot out all these different things, and they are actually sponsored by Nerf. As you can see there, 2010. And the parade would go on from about 2008 to January 1st, 2011 was the last day it would be at Disney's Hollywood Studios. But I would make jokes about how I was going to create a ball pit out of these Block Party Bash balls. And I did. Like, I would go over there literally every day, 3 o'clock. I would go to the first stand. They would shoot out the balls. I would collect them in my backpack, and I would go to the next spot, collect the balls, go in my backpack, and then they would go over by Star Tours, and they would shoot out a bunch more at the end. So I would go through and I would collect all these different things. It's really cool because if you go through, it does say on the front Block Party Bash, Disney Pixar, and then, like I said, on the back, it says Nerf 2010 TM. But I got so many of these different bags filled of Block Party Bash balls at my condo because the ball pit, eventually what happened was I had a leak inside my bathroom coming from the little faucet that's attached to the wall that goes to the toilet. And so it was leaking like crazy. This is back before I owned the place. and I had nothing that would keep the water, like too much of the water go through, because it would just keep on streaming out. And so eventually got to the point where I said, okay, you know what we're going to do is I'm going to take the block party bash balls, I'm going to pour them out, and they were literally everywhere in my condo at one point. Actually, they're still, like, you can walk around and just like be like, oh, there's another one. So they would eventually go through, and they would, I would take them out, and I use that as the ball pit, or the ball pit holder, to have it so when I was at work, the water would go into there, and then I wouldn't have a massive flood that I'd be coming home to every single night. So yeah. All right, let's do a few more things while we're in here. Let's do this one because it's a pretty cool one too. Cirque du Soleil drawn to life. So for my Christmas present for my friend last 2 years ago, I want to say, Cirque du Soleil came back with the brand new Drawn to Life story, and she got us tickets to go to the very first showing. And going to the very first showing, they gave us a special thing with all the different stuff in there. And then if you open it up, it's got the performers, and then it also comes with the actual poster. Can't even open it. The actual poster for the show. So we've got that there as well. One of the cool things also to go with it was, because of the first showing, they did not just give this to us, but we also got something that sits on the other side here. Right here, we got the Cirque du Soleil Drawn to Life, and then if you open it up, inside is a pin. So 2021, grand opening. Okay, let's do. We got 8 more minutes before we'll cut to our Disneyland segment. Is there anything that you guys can see that you guys are wondering about while we're here, or were you talking about this certificate up here? Is that the one that you guys were talking about? This one is. This was a Christmas gift from one of my friends a few years ago. It is the deed to Toad Hall. And then you can see at the bottom that it's from Mr. Toad, and then they moved it over to Brent Dodge. So technically, I own Toad Hall. And on there it says, witness the first party of the first part, it does hereby relinquish unto the said party of the second part the receipt that is hereby acknowledged by those in witness, theretofore released, and no never quit claim, and blah blah blah. There's lots of small talk in there, but overall, really really cool. Really cool details there. Since that just fell down, we might as well do the sword too. The sword, it might look familiar to some of you guys. This is one of those swords that you can get for going to Cinderella's royal table. They can give they let you choose now. It used to be the boys got swords, the girls got wands. Now they let you choose which one you want. So that was from 2014. I went there, and then a few years later, I went again, and I got another sword, which actually sits right down here. Another one right there. This one I got with my niece, because my brother decided that he was going to go through and let's do it. Have you ever released the Sword from the Stone in the Magic Kingdom? I have. Yes. Actually, so when I was on my college program, while we're doing this, we might as well now go to other things. We got so much stuff near us. 2004. So in here, I've got my pictures from the college program. Let's see if I actually have a picture from the Sword in the Stone. So I became friends with the guy who was friends with Merlin. So when they would go through, they would have it so they would do the Sword in the Stone show every single day. And how the show used to go was, because now they don't do the show anymore, but how the show used to be was they would go through and they would be like, he would come out because he was looking for a temporary ruler of the realm, and he would select one person from the crowd that would be the bodybuilder. or the bodyguard. And you're like, oh no, that's not supposed to be you. It's supposed to be someone else. And so they would go through and then choose a child, and the child would be the one who would get it. But because I got to know the person extremely well throughout the years, eventually he allowed me to pull the sword from the stone. So I got to go through, and I got to be the person who pulled the sword from the stone. Let's see here. I don't know if I have. I do have this picture, which I think is a really cool picture. This is Fantasyland. First off, look at the trees there. So right there on the side, that's actually the entrance for Dumbo. Back when Dumbo was right behind there. But as you can see, there's not a single person in that picture. That picture was taken at like 7 o'clock in the morning when I had an opening day shift. And I used to always carry around a disposable camera. This was back before I took photos all the time. So I had that. Actually, here's another really cool thing. So when you graduated from the college program, they would have a graduation party for you. So there we have the graduation celebration at Mickey's Retreat. Mickey's Retreat, December 8th, 2004, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. So this was actually a special thing. So Mickey's Retreat is a location for cast members. Actually, not like 2 miles down the road from me. Really, really cool spot. It's a spot exclusive for cast members to kind of go through and take their families to kind of enjoy the days, away from the guests and have their own little area. This is above the Brown Derby. They had a massive Chicken Little inflatable chicken there. Even though the movie didn't come out for another 11 months, that giant chicken was not so little. Here's some other pictures that I just absolutely love. These are my favorite pictures in the world, actually. They're not the prettiest pictures, but they're very cool pictures. So this is pictures that I took from the top of Cinderella Castle. I was able to go up there and was able to get some pictures from up there, again, with my disposable camera. So going through, and we got to look around. Overall, really one of the coolest experiences ever. I do not see any pictures of the Sword in the Stone. I thought I had one, but maybe I guess I don't. Do I not? I do not. Oh, I got a picture of me with the Sword in the Stone, though, from the college program. This would have been literally, I think this was my literally last day of my college program. So this would have been like January 2005. Yeah, definitely. It was definitely my last picture because the way I've got everything set up here, it's literally between pictures of stuff that I would end up throwing out. Yeah, so no pictures of me actually pulling out the Sword in the Stone. Oh, hey, Matt wants to know, do you have any popcorn buckets? I've got so many popcorn buckets. I've got more popcorn buckets than I know what to do with. A lot of the popcorn buckets I have are things that just hold other things. This is the Avengers Endgame popcorn bucket that was at AMC theaters, maybe AMC theaters. In addition to that, obviously, I've got a lot of different Disney popcorn buckets that kind of hang out near me at all times. That one, we got the Mr. Toad one, which is one of my favorites. And then things like Simba. Oh, and Simba attached to the other one that I just put on. Okay, any other things that people want to see right now? Or we're going to head over to our second segment. Anything from Disneyland's grand opening? No, I would love to have something from Disneyland's grand opening, but I don't. I do have an opening day park map for Magic Kingdom over on the other side of the condo, but well, it's way over there. I just can't get over there right now. But yeah, nothing from Disneyland's opening. I would say probably the oldest thing I have from Disneyland is probably not any time before like 2006. I probably have something from the early, from like 1993, someplace. I just don't know where. Because in 1993, I went to Disneyland. And 93 was in December 31st, 1993. My family went to Disneyland for the day and one day only. And I didn't go there again for about 13 years. So I probably got some souvenir that's probably someplace in this building, but I don't know what it would be. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. It would probably be something simple like the Scrooge McDuck. It would be a simple toy. It wouldn't be something like, because at that point, I was 9. I was 9, so I wouldn't have been thinking like, "Ooh, I got to get something really cool." I mean, like, "Ooh, this looks like a fun toy." And we also got like Han Solo's dice right here, hanging up at all times. The bricks they sold when they got rid of the bricks over at Magic Kingdom. They said that they're going to sell some limited time bricks, and if you had a brick, you got like a free one, or you could purchase your own. So I purchased my own. It says from Screen to Theme, Brent Dodge, March 1st, 2010, which is the day that I released from Screen to Theme. All of my medals are on a wall in my bedroom, so I cannot move us over there right now. What's on the top shelf? So the top shelf, actually this entire area up here is going to be kind of, so right here we have a sign that says, "If you can dream it, you can do it," Walt Disney, which I always found funny that this was given to me as a present. I always found funny because that's actually not even a Walt Disney quote. That's a Marty Sklar quote. But people always attribute to it as a Walt Disney quote. But at the top here, everything from this up, with the exception of the cup that's up here. This cup is a cup that I purchased. Where's it? This cup is a cup I purchased inside of Club 33 when I went to Club 33. But everything else is Rescuers themed, because if you followed me along long enough, then you probably know that the Rescuers was the inspiration for what kind of brought me down this entire crazy path that led me to talking to you guys every night. So if it wasn't for the Rescuers and seeing the Bernard Bianca on a float in 2004, we wouldn't be where we are right now. So I always give the Rescuers credit. I always loved the Rescuers. I went to see the Rescuers and the Rescuers Down Under for 2 different birthday parties, my like personal birthday parties. So yeah, I've always loved the Rescuers. So it just made me love the Rescuers even more. So like we got these pins right here are all Rescuers pins. These 3 right here are all different Christmas ornaments that are Rescuers themes. These ones right here are Rescuers Down Under pins. And then up here we have the Bernard Bianca Vinylmation right here. And then these are more Rescuers pins. And then this is a print that came out during the Festival of the Arts this year. Where are all the Vinylmations? Vinylmations are everywhere. Like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shelves over there where it's like in front of the books that I have on the shelves. Then I got another row that's over here. I got another 1, 2, 3 rows over here. Then we got some right here, one right here. And then we've got more that are in front of my TV, and then another shelf over here that's got a bunch more too. So a lot of different thingamajoggers, a lot of different Vinylmations. And then, Eric, let's see our copy of Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck. There it is. It's always right here. Just because this is the greatest comic book you will ever read in your life. Like I'm not even saying that because I'm a huge Scrooge McDuck fan. This gives you the whole backstory of Scrooge McDuck and why I love Scrooge McDuck so much. Because it is just such an elaborate backstory. It's so well written. And it really tells the true story. So, of what happened. But let's go on to our second segment for the night, Disneyland. So because tonight's episode is the 7/17th episode, Disneyland did open up on July 17th of 1955. So let's go to you guys. What do you guys want to know about Disneyland? Do you guys want to like hear about like the first like 5 years or 10 years or what? We can do like a mini take a hike, point out some fun facts. We can do like a different little details in different lands or different stories for each land, or I don't know. What do you guys want to know? Take me to where you want to go. Or let me know where you want to go about it, because there's so much stuff that we can talk about for Disneyland. You've never been to Disneyland. Oh, you got to go to Disneyland. Disneyland is just amazing. Okay, we got one vote for first 10 years. We got another vote for take a hike. We'll just say whoever the next person is to go through and choose. It's actually about the same size as Magic Kingdom. There's more attractions at Disneyland actually than Magic Kingdom by quite a bit. So wait, can we list off? Take a hike. So what we'll do is we'll go through and we'll kind of talk about all the different things, but we'll also try to have a focus on the first 10 years while we go through and talk about this different stuff. Okay, so first off, let's talk about the birth of Disneyland, because the birth of Disneyland originally came from a few different ideas. If you watched my YouTube video a few weeks ago, last week maybe even, we went to One Man Stream. If you've ever gone to One Man Stream or Walt Disney Presents over at why is the castle so small? We're going to get to that. If you've ever gone to the Walt Disney Presents at Disney's Hollywood Studios, there's a little dancing man thing there, like little prototype thing. So inside of that little prototype thing, originally that was going to be the original idea for Disneyland, but it wasn't going to be Disneyland. It was literally they were going to have a bunch of those different types of scenes, and they were just going to put them on trains, and these trains were going to go all around America, and everyone could experience a little bit of Disney magic and innovation. And eventually Walt said, you know what? I love trains. I love going to the train stations, blah, blah, blah. But some train yards are very, very dirty, and I don't want people going to a very dirty area. So maybe we'll create our own little theme park and call it the Mickey Mouse Theme Park. So they were going to have the Mickey Mouse Theme Park over at the Disney Studios, and then eventually that led into the creation of Disneyland. So with the creation of Disneyland, one of my favorite things about this is when you think about Disneyland today, it's crazy when you compare it to what it was when it started. Because when Disneyland first opened up, it literally had Main Street USA, Frontierland, Adventureland, Fantasyland, and Tomorrowland. 5 lands. Now, if you go over there, you've got, I feel like I'm going to forget a land, so bear with me. You've got Main Street USA, Adventureland, New Orleans Square, Critter Country, Frontierland, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, Fantasyland, Mickey's Toontown, and Tomorrowland. 9 lands. So we've gone up 4 different lands throughout the years, which is absolutely insane. The fact that it's grown that much throughout the years. But when it first opened up, it just had these 4 different lands with ideas of creating more throughout the years. So one of the first things that they actually did was they did create a land called there was like a little picnic area that was over by where the Matterhorn sits today. And eventually it led into a circus area, which was the Mickey Mouse Circus. And not many people were going to there, so they decided to scrap that idea. And eventually they would build the Matterhorn in its place back in 1959. So while we're talking about 1959, I know we're like not even close to doing a take a hike / history. We're just I'm just rambling. But 1959, in June of 1959, there was 3 different attractions that opened up on the same day. We had the Matterhorn, the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and the monorail, which if you've only been to Disney World, show of hands, how many people out there have only been to Disney World and have never been to Disneyland? Because if you've never been to Disneyland, if you've only gone to Disney World, you probably think about the monorail as like, a mode of transportation. Over there, it's an actual ride. Like it actually takes you on a ride. Like it's a ride. Like I can't stress this enough. It's not an attraction. Like there's no standing up, there's no beams and stuff like that. It's literally seats, and it takes you all around, and it kind of swoops around through Tomorrowland, and eventually it makes its way over to downtown Disney. Over there they have downtown Disney still. They don't have the strings. And then they make your way back over to Tomorrowland. So it's overall a really cool experience. So let's go through. We're going to answer some questions about it while we go through here. So let's talk a little bit about the castle. Why is the castle so small? Number one, the castle is so small because at that point, the castle was huge. It was the biggest thing in the entire park, because at that point, they weren't sure exactly how big the park was going to be. So the castle was relatively small because at that point, they had said, this is a really big castle. And if you had never been to Disney World before, you probably would think it's a really big castle. Like it seems like a pretty decent sized castle when you're standing right next to it. In reality, If you go there from Disney World to Disneyland, like half the time you can't find it because there's a small child that's standing in front of it, and you're like, wait, where's the castle? But Main Street USA obviously is a tribute to Walt, home of Marceline, Missouri. Same thing for Magic Kingdom. Let's do a few little fun finds in each one of the lands, mainly dealing with things that have been around pretty much since opening day. So first off, we have the idea of Casey's Corner. Over there, it's called Coke Corner. Over here in Walt Disney World, it's called Casey's Corner. But fun fact, Coke Corner was the name of Casey's Corner when the Magic Kingdom first opened up, and then eventually it switched over to Casey's Corner. Well, over there, it's been Coke Corner, and then it just stayed Coke Corner. So at Coke Corner, if you look up at the light bulbs, there are all these different light bulbs when you enter, and they are alternating white, red, white, red, white, red, white, red, white, red. And the reason that they are white, red, white, red, white, red, it's just, it's a cool pattern. But if you notice, one of them is actually half white and a half red. And this is mainly due to the fact that it was an odd number of light bulbs. So since it was an odd number, they couldn't have it so there would be half even and half odd. And it was actually Walt Disney's suggestion that maybe they should just paint half of it red to have it so it actually fit out through both of them. You can't find Cinderella Castle because it's too big. So when you go down to the end of the hub there, you can find the, like we said, Sleeping Beauty Castle. Now, Sleeping Beauty Castle was actually being created at the same time as Sleeping Beauty the movie. Sleeping Beauty the movie first started its production back in the early 1950s, at the same time when the idea of Disneyland was coming around. So when the idea of Disneyland was being built and being created, they were also creating Sleeping Beauty. And Walt said, haha, this would be a great way to cross-promote both things. So why don't we have it so the castle that would be in the park would be based around Sleeping Beauty's castle. Now, at this point, they didn't realize that Sleeping Beauty, the movie, would take them 9 years to create, because all the other movies at this point had took about 3 to 4 years, and 9 years was just kind of ridiculous. But they figured what they can do is they can go through and they have the same castle both opening up at like the same time with both the movie and the park. But unfortunately, there was delays in the production of the movie, and the movie wouldn't come out for another 4 years. So the castle, if you look at the castle in person, it does have a lot of the different visual aspects that the one in the movie has as well. Let's do this question right here. How many rides are both at Disneyland and Magic Kingdom? The amount of attractions that are the same exact attraction from start to finish at both Walt Disney World and Disneyland is a total of 3. That's right. There's only 3 that are complete duplicates, and those 3 attractions are Mickey's PhilharMagic, because it's a 3D show. It's the same as that 3D show. Soarin', which sometimes the Soarin' over there goes back to the original Soarin', sometimes it's Soarin' around the world, so it really depends on when you actually go there. And then the other one would be Star Tours. But all of the other attractions are completely different attractions. So for instance, there are 14 duplicate attractions at both Magic Kingdom and Disneyland, but those 14 attractions are completely different from one another. So to give you an example, let's go over and ride Big Thunder Mountain. No, let's do Winnie the Pooh. So over in Walt Disney World, we know the attraction, the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, like the back of our hand. You first start off and you've got Gopher. Hey, happy Wednesday. And as you continue to go through, you'll go past Rabbit, and then you go through Owl's Fallen House, then you meet Tigger, and then eventually you get to the Heffalumps and Woozle scene, and then eventually you go through the and it rain came down, down, down in rushing, rising rivulets, and then eventually you make your way to the party. Now, over in Disneyland, there's some similarities, but nothing is the same. Completely different ride vehicles, completely different attraction. There are a few scenes that are similar, like the Heffalumps and Woozle scenes, but besides that, pretty much the entire attraction is completely different and doesn't even take place in the same order as what it does here at Disney World. Same thing for Pirates of the Caribbean. Pirates of the Caribbean, first off, it does take place in New Orleans Square. So because it takes place in New Orleans Square, when you're going through, you actually start off next to the Blue Bayou restaurant. Now, if you've gone on Grand Fiesta Tour over at Epcot, then you kind of have an idea of how the attraction starts off when you're actually slowly going through in a boat. and next to you is a nice, elegant restaurant with people eating and staring at you. Eventually, on Pirates of the Caribbean, you go down a drop, and then you go down a second drop. That's right, they've got 2 drops over there. This was actually Walt Disney's idea too. So Walt Disney said they had to do the drop to go below the train tracks, and then Walt suggested a second drop because people would not be expecting a second drop. Was his theory, and I think it's a good theory, except for the fact that you can see the drops coming. But that's besides the point. So then you go through the dead men scene. So if you've ever gone on Pirates of the Caribbean in Walt Disney World or Disneyland, the entire aspect is you're actually time traveling, which most people don't really, focus on, but that's actually what's going on. So at the start, you hear dead men tell no tales. When you're going through and hearing the dead man tell no tales, they don't tell tales. And so that's why the first scenes at both Disneyland and at Walt Disney World are focused on dead men. They are actual skeletons of these different pirates. Now, in Walt Disney World, you go through one beach and then one pirate ship. But over there, you go by the same exact scene, and then you go past a treasure room, and then another treasure room, and then a bed chamber, and then another treasure room, and then eventually you get to the pirate ship. By the time you get to the pirate ship over there, you would probably have already finished the ride at Disney World. It's like twice the length of how it is at Disneyland. Disneyland is so much better. I love the Pirates of the Caribbean here. I wrote it today, but the one over in Disneyland is like one of the coolest attractions that you'll ever go on. And it's such an immersive attraction. And instead of getting off to the bottom, then you have to go back up because, as Walt said, you get into the whole mess by going down a waterfall. So the only way you can get out of the mess is by going up a waterfall. And it just makes sense. So we have 14 attractions that are duplicate attractions, but at the same time, those duplicate attractions is not really duplicate. So Haunted Mansion over there is a shorter attraction than the one that's here, but some of the elements that are here that you ride through, you walk through over there. So for instance, the chamber where you're the first part of the ride where you're going past all the different portraits and there's like lightning striking and the portraits light up. Over in Disneyland, you're actually walking through that area instead of riding through it. Also over there, they have the Haunted Mansion Holiday, which is a really cool attraction. Really like that one. But overall, I like the Haunted Mansion here better than the one that I like over there. While Pirates is the opposite. And then for Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, it's a different track completely. Some similarities, but not completely. Same thing for Space Mountain. Over at there, we should have done the entire episode about Disneyland. No offense to the show and tell voters, but now I'm like going through this. I'm like, oh my gosh, I could talk for another 7 hours about all of this. But over there, like the Space Mountain over there is one track opposed to 2 tracks. I don't like the one out there at all. It's so predictable because it's left turn, left turn, left turn, left turn, right, left turn, left turn, left turn, left turn, right, left turn, left turn, left turn, left. To me, it's just like, I don't understand why people always say that it's better. I don't think it's better at all. I like every time I go out there and go on it, I'm like, it's good. It's not great, but it's good. Yeah, it's okay. Let's see. Why does Disneyland have the best corn dogs? Why can't Disney World get the Little Red Wagon? So I read something about this not that long ago about how the reason that those corn dogs are so good is because the only thing that's being dipped in the grease is the corn dogs, because that's the only thing that they make at that location. And then if you go to the corn dogs that they sell here, still good corn dogs. The ones that they sell over at Sleepy Hollow, I think they're good corn dogs. I don't think they're as good as Disneyland's, but they're like, oh, the thing that they use to dip it in is the same stuff that they use to dip in, or the same fryers that they use to dip in for the I can't think of what it's called. Funnel cakes. So they're like, yeah, so the grease is like different. Like, it has a different flavor to it. But over at Disneyland, that's the only thing they sell at the Little Red Wagon. So that's why it's better. I think it's a good enough reason. Okay, because I'm on a roll right now, I'm giving you 5 extra minutes bonus right now. We're gonna go to 10:35, and then if you guys continue to get more subscribers, we're gonna go into extra innings as well. Just because I'm loving this. So let's talk a little bit about Adventureland, because we haven't talked about Adventureland yet. So Adventureland, when Adventureland first opened up, there was one attraction and one attraction only, which would be the Jungle Cruise. Now, the Jungle Cruise over in Disneyland is a little bit different than the one that's here at Walt Disney World. There's a few similarities that were going to be built at Walt Disney World, but eventually they said, we're not going to do it because, yeah, they just decided not to. But over in Disneyland, what they decided to do originally was have it so it was going to be an educational tour. So you would go through and you would learn all about the wonderful animals out around the world. So you'd be going by and be like, oh, there's a giraffe. They're very tall with long necks. Isn't that interesting? Oh, there's a gorilla. I don't know who was talking during these tours. So they'd be like, oh, there's a gorilla. Now the gorilla is very strong and it's a primate. So overall, very, very dull, very, very informative, but not something you would really expect to go for a theme park. So one of the people who we've talked about multiple times on this show before is Mark Davis. Mark Davis is one of those guys who I just think is a genius. His big projects has been things like Tinkerbell, Cruella de Vil, Maleficent, and then obviously he's done so many things for Disney parks as well. Things like Pirates of the Caribbean and Haunted Mansion. But one of the big things that came around was in the late 1950s, just after the parks first opened up, Walt Disney was going through the parks and he said, you know what, Mark, I want you to go to the park on me. Haha. I want you to go around and I want you to give me your personal opinion from an outsider's perspective. Someone who didn't work on the park, because he had worked on the films up to that point, but he never worked as an Imagineer. He never actually worked on Disneyland. So you wanted to have someone he trusted to go in and do a judgment of the park and try to figure out what could be improved, what could be plussed on. And Mark Davis went over there, and the first thing he said was, you need more humor. Everything's so educational there that we need a little bit more humor inside the park. So Walt gave him the task of going through and creating a brand new script for the Jungle Cruise, because at this point it was so informative. And if it was not for Mark Davis swooping in, we probably never even would have the Jungle Cruise anymore. It probably would have been shut down a long time ago because people would be bored out of their minds. But because of him, we got all the different puns and all the stupid humor that we all know and love about the Jungle Cruise to this day. So because of that, we're all a lot happier. So over in Frontierland, now when Frontierland first opened up over in Disneyland, it was the largest land in the entire park, which now ironically it's the smallest land in the entire park. So it used to spread from Frontierland, where it is now. So for those of you guys who are not aware, if you've never been to Disneyland, the way that Frontierland over there started off was when put into your mind that you're at Magic Kingdom and you're going across the bridge that goes to Liberty Square. As soon as you go across that bridge, you're in Frontierland. And that's how it still is to this day over at Disneyland. But it went from there all the way to where Big Thunder Mountain Railroad would be in Walt Disney World. However, in Disneyland, it was set up a little bit differently. So in Disneyland, when you walk in on the right-hand side, right away is the Shooting Arcade. Right after that is Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. And then if you continue going down the path, you would have different things that would take you through, like, you know, the Tom Sawyer canoes and the Mike Fink riverboats or keelboats and all that other fun stuff. But now that's Frontierland's like nothing. there's literally those two, and then you also have Tom Sawyer Island there and stuff like that. But overall, it's a very small land because eventually that would get replaced by Critter Country. At one point, it was Bear Country when Country Bear Jamboree was there, and then eventually became Critter Country. And then also it would be replaced with New Orleans Square. So New Orleans Square would open up, and with New Orleans Square, that took up a huge chunk of the park. So let's talk a little bit about Frontierland. Let's talk actually about one of my favorite little details inside of Frontierland, because when you go into Frontierland, Frontierland is the first place in all of the Disney parks where they had something added to it that was not supposed to be there, but it was only supposed to be someplace else. And that is a window on, well, not Main Street, but you always have the windows on Main Street over at Disneyland. You've got them over at Walt Disney World. You got them at Tokyo. You've got them, all the different Main Streets around the world have a Main Street windows. And because of that, that's kind of like the highest honor that you could receive as an Imagineer and someone who actually worked in the park. But they decided to give a window to Fess Parker, who would play Davy Crockett in the Davy Crockett series. So with that, we got that one. And then as time would go through, we get a few more different windows that have been added throughout the years, including just 2 weeks ago, Bob Weiss received a window over at Disney's Hollywood Studios. So, yay. Over in Fantasyland, and Fantasyland was the happiest kingdom of the ball. Now, first off, in Fantasyland is kind of completely different than what it was when the park first opened up, but at the same time, very similar to how it was when the park first opened up. Probably doesn't make a lot of sense, but bear with me. All right, so first off, over there, we currently have Peter Pan's Flight on your right-hand side as soon as you walk into the thing through the castle. Peter Pan's Flight still sitting there to this day and still beloved by so many people. Right across the way, we had Snow White Scary Adventure. Snow White Scary Adventures got a facelift just a few years ago, and it's now Snow White's Apple Surprise. I don't even know what it's called. It's not the Apple Surprise. Snow White's Wish. Someone help me out here. I don't remember what it's called, but very similar attraction to what it is today. And then around the corner, or right between the two, we have the carousel right next to Peter Pan's Flight. We have, still to this day, we've got the Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. And then where Pinocchio's Daring Journey currently sits, that originally was the Mickey Mouse Circus. So you would go through, or the Mickey Mouse Club show, Mickey Mouse Club show. And you would go through there, and the Mickey Mouse Club would actually have the actual performers there, sitting there and putting on little shows for everyone. Overall, good idea. However, in 1955, didn't really work out because the Mickey Mouse Club was not debuted yet. So people would go in there and be like, who are these kids? I don't know who this Annette girl is. She's a pretty good singer, pretty good performer, but I don't understand why we're sitting here watching her right now. We still had Dumbo the Flying Elephant. Dumbo the Flying Elephant did not open with opening day, but it opened very shortly after. But it did not sit where this is. It actually sat where the Mad Tea Party is, and the Mad Tea Party sat where Dumbo was. And then eventually the two of them swapped spots. We did not have the Casey Jr. Circus Train immediately, but it was opened up very, very shortly after. And then we also had the Storybook Canal Boats, but there was no Storybook Land. It was just canal boats. And you would literally go through, and it was an opening day attraction, and they wanted to have it so people would go through and try to have an experience, but in reality, they didn't know what to put there. So they just had flowers, and they put Latin names in front of it to educate people. And people were like, oh, that's fascinating. The Arosaurus. I don't know. That sounds like a dinosaur. But you would go through and look at that. And then eventually we'd get also things like Alice in Wonderland, the attraction. But to go with our little history section, in 1959, like I said, we would have the Matterhorn bobsleds would open up. Now, with the Matterhorn bobsleds, this actually came, a lot of the different things that are found in Fantasyland are based off of popular films. I know what you're thinking, but you said Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. That's not exactly what I think it is. Well, it is. Okay. So what you have to remember is in 1955, when Disneyland would first open up, there were so many really cool movies that were out by Disney at that point, but there was not a lot of movies to choose from too at that same time, because at that point we had Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Pinocchio, Fantasia, Pinocchio, Dumbo, Bambi, Three Caballeros, Saludos Amigos, Melody Time, Make My Music. I'm missing one of the ones that's in there, but that's okay. Fun and Fancy Free, the Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. Oh, I'm actually getting all of them. Cinderella, Alice in Wonderland, Peter Pan, and Lady and the Tramp. Those were the only films that were actually out at that point done by Disney. So the fact that we didn't have a lot of them, when you look through those films, things like Make My Magic, Melody Time, Fun and Fancy Free, not extremely popular films. Three Caballeros and Saludos Amigos, not very popular films. But one of the films that was actually, recent, that was still in a lot of people's minds, was The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, which came out in 1949. So because it came out in 1949, they figured, there's going to be a lot of people who are, still remembering Mr. Toad and his car mania. And so that's why they put that in there. And it's a classic attraction still to this day. No cats taking over over a boat on the microphone. That's still one of I love that. That was one of the best times at that park. I had so much fun with that. Good. And then over in Tomorrowland, still to this day, we still have Autopia, and that's about it from the opening time of the park. there was not a whole lot that was going on. They had a few different things that would kind of come and go throughout the years. A lot more that went and then didn't come back. And then if you look at Tomorrowland today, we still have Autopia. We got 20,000, or I'm sorry, the Seas with Nemo and Friends, or the Nemo submarines, Finding Nemo submarines. We also have Star Tours over there. So if you're like a Disney World goer, that's one of the crazy things is like you go in there and they have Star Tours literally inside Tomorrowland. Like that's where it is. It's the first thing when you walk into Tomorrowland. It's there on the right-hand side. Right on the other side, we have Buzz Lightyear's Astro Blasters. And then we also have Space Mountain, which I don't know if I said or not, but I'm saying it again, just in case. And then we also have a train station for Tomorrowland that goes all around the park for Disneyland Railroad. Oh, wait. Any questions out there about Disneyland? I know this was like all like, but I'm liking when people throw their questions out because then it gives us a Soarin's Back to the World. Okay, so the only 3 attractions that are exactly the same in both Walt Disney World and Disneyland is Star Tour. Or I'm sorry. Oh, I forgot about Rise of the Resistance, Millennium Falcon, Smuggler's Run. I forget that those 2 are over there. Star Tours, Soarin' Over the World, and Mickey's PhilharMagic. Those are the only 5 attractions that would be exactly the same attraction from both of them. The guns move on Buzz. Yes, they do. That's, every Disneyland person always has to point that out. So instead of being on the thing where it kind of goes around like this, you can actually move the gun, and it's attached to a string, so you can like move it anywhere and everywhere, which people love. I don't like it that much. I like Disney Worlds because I like the challenge of like you have to be at the right angle and I like it better. That's just my personal opinion. I know a lot of people would say the other one's better. I can see why they think it's better, but I like this one better. How many lands are in Disneyland? Question. So we've got, to this day still, we've got Main Street USA, Adventureland, New Orleans Square, Critter Country, Frontierland, Fantasyland, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, Mickey's Toontown, and Tomorrowland. 9. We got 9 different attractions. Space Mountain's Hyperspace Mountain. I do like when it's Hyperspace Mountain. Hyperspace Mountain's fun. I don't like regular Space Mountain. I think it's just too predictable. But the Hyperspace Mountain, I like the different graphics that they add to it. I think it makes it a more entertaining attraction. Yeah, Toontown's still there. Toontown is massive over there, too. So over there, they got Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin. They just opened up Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway over there, which I'm assuming is probably the same attraction. So I guess that we have 6 that are duplicate attractions. And then we also have Gadget's Go-Go Coaster over there as well. And then Mickey's House, Minnie's House, Goofy's Bounce House, and Donald's Boat. So the Toontown over there is the Toontown over here was the first Toontown, and it was a lot smaller than the Toontown over there. The Toontown over there, it's massive. Like it's really, really massive. And yeah. What's the storyline in Haunted Mansion Disneyland? So it's going to be the same exact storyline. Like everything is exactly the same. It's just a shorter ride. So instead of starting off where you would start off here, where you start up the hallway with the flashing things, and then eventually you go into the library, and then you go into the area with all the different stairs. It starts off over there right at like the hallway where you have like the knocking on the rooms and stuff. So it's besides that, it's exactly the same attraction. The outside's different because it's set in New Orleans, but yeah, everything else besides that is the exact same thing. Toontown's much bigger now. I want to go out there. I want to see it so bad. It's been so long. All right, let's check out our subscriber count. We'll answer one more question before we wrap up, or if we get any new subscribers, then we will go on to more. We started off at 2819 or 2821. We are now at 2819. We lost 2 subscribers. But I also did have a video that was going somewhat viral when I started the episode. So usually when you have a video that goes like it went like how many 1.8 thousand views in less than an hour. When that happens, you usually get a lot of subscribers, and then you always lose a few. So I was expecting to lose a few. Yeah, Haunted Mansion in Paris is completely different. That over there is called the Phantom Manor. It's similar, like they still have a stretch room over there, but it's all set in the Old West. And actually, like there's one part where you actually go down into like hell, pretty much, and you are in the Old West while you're in the Haunted Mansion or inside the Phantom Manor. And over there, it's a bride is constantly trying to find her long lost love. And so everywhere you go, you hear, oh, 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 and she's like calling out to her love. It's actually a very good attraction. It sounds really cheesy, but it's a really good attraction. I think we should do a group trip plan with It's All About the Miles Traveled. I agree. I think that would actually be a great idea. We should do that sometime very, very soon. Because I used to go to Disneyland like twice a year, and now it's been killing me. A lot of grass now that Chip and Dale's tree house is gone. I miss the tree house. I love that tree house. I know that adults weren't supposed to go up there really, but I always went up there. I always found it fun. All right, let's do one more question before we wrap up here, or possibly get another subscriber here. Any other questions before we wrap up this bad boy? Oh, I want to go back to Disneyland Paris too. I just want to go everywhere. I've been everywhere, man. All right, any other questions before we wrap up here? The fountain's amazing. I really want to go out to Disneyland and see all that, man. There is a train in Disneyland. It's a really cool train in Disneyland too. It's actually better than the train at Walt Disney World. I love the train at Walt Disney World, but the Disneyland train has a beat. So there are 5 trains at Disneyland. 4 of them do not face forward like the one that Walt Disney World does. It actually faces to the side like the one over at Rafiki's Planet Watch does. So that way you go past scenes and you can see different things that are, out there. But over in Frontierland, you actually go around the rivers of America, opposed to like being in the tree line. You actually go like above the water. It's really cool how they do it. They just redid that a few years ago. You go over that, and then over in between Tomorrowland and Main Street USA, you actually go through a tunnel, and inside the tunnel you have it so you see the Grand Canyon as it is today, and then you go back into the past where you see the Grand Canyon as it used to be, and there's dinosaurs everywhere. It's like the coolest thing ever. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite things. Outside, we've been hearing a lot of chatter about Frontierland and Walt Disney World getting revamped, possibly cut in half, and the other half turned into New Orleans Square. Heard anything lately? I have not heard anything official. I don't think it's going to happen that way. A lot of people keep on talking about how they don't think that whatchamacallit, they don't think that the Tiana's Bayou Adventure is going to fit into Frontierland because it's set in the South and not in the Frontierland times. But neither was the Song of the South was set in Georgia. So technically, New Orleans is set even further west. It's closer to the frontier than Song of the South was. So I'm assuming that I don't think it's going to change. I do think we're going to get the Villains Land in the Encanto and Coco area that they were talking about way back in the day, but I don't, or that they were talking about during the D23 Expo. But I don't think they're going to completely gut out the area, and I don't think so. Like that's just my gut feeling. I could be completely wrong, but I just had this gut feeling that we'll be getting those other 2 areas, but I don't think they're going to change up the other areas at all. I think it's just people wishful thinking opposed to what it actually will happen. So we'll see. I think it would be kind of weird because I can't imagine Disney getting rid of Frontierland, and I can't imagine them saying, okay, but Big Thunder Mountain Railroad's now in a different area. I know I saw that people are saying it would be the Desert Land, which I can't imagine Disney saying we're gonna have a Desert Land. It just doesn't make any sense. And then in Desert Land, you're gonna have the Coco themed area and a Encanto themed area. But instead, I think we'll get the villains area. I don't think I saw someone throw a concept art out there today about where it would be, and it doesn't make any sense. There's no way that they could actually build where they want it. Where they're saying, "Oh, this is where they're going to build it at." It's going to be like on this part of the Haunted Mansion, but they don't realize all the stuff that's back there for the Haunted Mansion. Like at that point of the Haunted Mansion, like the picture that they took is not a picture of all the stuff that's actually there. So they just had like a rough draft of what someone, I think, predicts is back there, but in reality, there's a whole lot more back there than what most people realize. So we'll see. And it doesn't make sense because then they would also have like the Country Bear Jamboree and Frontierland Shooting Arcade are like on one side of Frontierland, and then Big Thunder Mountain Railroad's on the other side. And I can't imagine them saying, "Okay, we're gonna either keep both of those things or revamp them," but they don't. I can't imagine what they would revamp either one of them too. So I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think that we're gonna get a New Orleans Square here. I think it'll just kind of be a different thing. One of the things I heard was the images were going through Pecos Bill, probably turning it into princess themed restaurant. I could see that possibly, but I don't think they're going to complete. I think they would still fit it into the Frontierland theme, is my guess. So we shall see. Oh, hey, any other subscribers here? Otherwise, we're going to wrap up this bad boy. Nope, we are still at 2,819. So we're going to be wrapping this up right here. As always, tonight's episode is sponsored by It's All About the Mouse Travel Jazz Hands. Make sure you stop by. It's allaboutthemousetravel.com for all of your Disney travel needs. All of their services are absolutely, positively, 100% free. So make sure you book with them for your next Disney vacation. I'd like to thank everyone out there for joining us once again this week. Please keep on spreading the word about the Wednesday show and From Screen to Theme, and invite anyone and everyone to join the groups over on Facebook, or if you're not already subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. As always, remember that anything can happen if you let it. Until next time, have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye. Goodbye now. Goodbye now. Bye-bye. Goodbye now. Are they gone? Are they gone? Oh, good. My cheeks are just killing me. I just can't stand this kind of pressure.